Welcome to Biz Dev Live. My name is Cameron Toth, and I'm so excited to be bringing you Joaquin and Stacey Loper today. They have an amazing 4.2 million following. When you're watching this video, weeks, months from now, maybe a lot more than that. They just launched a new show today, and I'm so excited to bring you them. Stacey's a high school friend. I'm just getting to know Joaquin, and I really am excited because we're going to talk about relationships and the world, the way the world works. It's all relationships. They have a relationship practice. We're going to get into it. Stay with me. We'll be right back after the Biz Dev theme.
Biz Dev Live, Biz Dev Live, weekdays at 11 Eastern Time, live. Biz Dev Live, Biz Dev Live, weekdays at 11 Eastern Time. Leadership and motivation, empathy and inspiration, Biz Dev Live, Biz Dev Live, business development, not even selling it. Biz D with C, brought to you by Cameron T. Biz D with C, brought to you by Cameron T. This is business development, not even selling it. This is business development, not even selling it. Business development, not even selling it. Biz Dev Live, Biz Dev Live, Biz Dev Live. This is business development, not even selling it.
So what better way to really introduce Joaquin and Stacey than playing a clip of their new, just dropped today, YouTube release. So check this out, the first about minute and 20 of this.
We're a company and we're a husband and wife. We do grief counseling, we do marriage coaching, we do life coaching, we do business consulting as well, and we do relationship coaching. A lot of people know us from TikTok. I'm gonna tell you something. TikTok was never designed for us.
My daughter's still saying, Mom, do a TikTok dance. I'm like, no, I'm not going to do a TikTok dance. They're like, you should get on TikTok. You should get on TikTok.
And my wife, after about 3 months, got annoyed and said, if I get on TikTok, I'm going to be famous.
But I did and started doing what I normally do. Annoy my husband.
She tells me annoying jokes and she gets on my nerves.
I'm for you. I'm about to. Hey, what does peanut butter and a stripper have in common? They both spread for bread.
Every day.
This is amazing. Season 1. There we go. So you got to go to YouTube if you want to check out more of the show. Thank you so much for being with me, Joaquin and Stacey. Amazing production value. Love what you're doing.
Thank you. Pleasure to be here.
All right. So tell us about how you're helping people right now. We'll get into a little bit of this journey with TikTok and everything else.
Well,
Go ahead.
Like you heard on the first episode, my wife and I we are marriage coaches. We're business consultants. We are relationship coaches. We're also life coaches. So we're in the business of giving back to individuals and couples, giving them hope and just new perspectives on how to look at things and look into things and look into themselves as well.
Yeah, and it's all surrounded by love, laughter, and hope.
Yes.
As you can see, if you're a follower of ours, or if you go to our page on TikTok, or if you go to our YouTube, you'll see that that's what we're all about. We're all about the love, the laughter, and the hope, because every day that needs to be a valid point of your life.
Yes.
So
it has to be intentional.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I love that. And so talk to me. I want to get the full scope, the full story here. Your brand is Blended and Winning, so that's a piece of your story. Me and Stacey went to the same high school together, so that's my claim to fame now. I know Stacey Loper, and she's got this amazing following at TikTok. I've spoken to so many people about, I was sort of tracking a little bit of the journey, noticed that, she was at, I don't know what you guys were at in March of 2020, but it was like 3,000, 9,000. And then you guys just were ticking up through the pandemic. And I was talking to people about showing up and how important it was to show up on social media, be your true self. You guys sort of blaze that, but there's a lot of story before TikTok started popping, and a lot of work that you guys have put in before that and since. So talk to us a little bit about your coming together. What happened? What kind of brought, what's the story, the backstory? What where were you in your lives? And just tell us a little bit about your journey, the both of you, and how this has come together.
Look, hey, how we came together. My husband was chasing some booty.
That's it. I was at a great point in my life, and I was living happily and single, minding my business,
chasing booty. And saw me on campus one day.
Yep. Chased the wrong tail.
Chased the wrong tail, and that tail got him stuck for 16 years.
This is no lie. We're on campus at USM, University of Southern Mississippi in Hattiesburg, Mississippi, and my wife's a grad student. I'm in undergrad, and man, she's walking across campus going to work, and I'm leaving her building of employment, going to class, and I just going to class. Now he going to class, need to be focusing on them books, focusing on my tail. That's what he was doing. Well, hey, I tell you what, there ain't much I learned in them books that had prepared me for this. So,
and he always tells the story by saying that when he saw me walking across campus that day, I was heading back to the office, and he said, "Man, I gotta meet her, and she's just gonna have to tell me no." Yeah,
if I said when I see her again, she's gonna have to tell me no because I'm approaching her.
Cameron, I didn't tell him no.
Yeah, she tried. She tried to fight it, Cameron. She tried to fight it, but I was too persistent.
Yes, he was. He came into the office, and we have a mutual friend. Like, she's like a sister to me, a mom to him, and we have a mutual friend, and she worked in financial aid, and he was like, "Who is that? Who is that girl? Who is that girl?" And she was like, "You do not want to mess with her."
Nope. Because truth be told, and everyone listen to this, do not downplay yourself or do not think you're prepared for what's coming to you. My wife was recently divorced with 2 kids. Many people don't know that about us because that's not an important piece to us presenting ourselves. With our kids are our kids, period. I fell in love with my wife, and I love my girls just like they're mine. But it was intimidating, but it was also challenging. It was also challenging. So it depends on how you look at things.
And think about it. He was 24 when he met me. He was
just turned 24.
So this man is single, no kids, a military career, college, and everything. And so 2 kids, and you recently divorced, your second time divorce? Like, girl.
I don't know what I was thinking, y'all. So
I don't know how much you know about my story, but I had a child at 19 years of age with a woman that I was definitely not planning on spending the rest of my life with. So that's been a big part of what made me, and I have my mission in life, opportunity and education, because I know if you are being shown, what kind of doors can be open to you, having that education, knowing if you make some smart choices, what not only can you do for yourself, but some of the pain that you cannot expose others to. That's a big deal. And I, in my, I've been married for going on 24 years now, and I'm sorry, I don't know where I got 18 years now. I'm just making up numbers. I don't know where I got that, but I think because I was thinking about my son, and so he's 24 years old, and when I met my wife and we were, getting married, and we were having that conversation, I said, well, if the tables were turned, because she was coming to me as a single woman and I'm this guy that has this child, if the tables were turned, I probably wouldn't be marrying you. I wouldn't, be getting into a relationship with you, because I understand how difficult it is, and I understand. And I told her, quite frankly, if I was you, I'd turn around and go the other way, and she got married with me anyways, and she has some jokes about that and why she did that. But you know, it's one of those things that I'm so thankful that she made that decision. But I also am thankful that I told her honestly, like, hey, this is the whole deal. So you guys went into this kind of wide eyes open with this relationship, right? For better or for worse.
Okay, no, stop that. You don't have to say anything. It's the way you look. Anyway, we did go in eyes wide shut.
Yeah. Perfect.
I mean, because we almost didn't know what to expect, but we knew we were going to have fun with it. And like Joaquin was telling you before we came on air, he had to tell me. I mean, there were times when he was like, "I'm gonna need you to like get it together. Like, I'm gonna need you to kind of get yourself relax a little bit." Because I was very, proper, and I lived in New York.
You went to school. You went to school with the camera. You went to school with. So I can only imagine.
Well, I think that's a common New Yorker thing, is that we're a little extra. We just don't.
Yeah.
So that's where I get it from. The fact that I lived in New York.
No. That may have been an addition, but that's just not why.
But he did. He used to always tell me, he's like, "I'm gonna need you to just loosen up and just be you."
Yeah.
He was like, "Just be you," because I'm telling you, the tables have turned. Joaquin was the funny one. Ooh. Now, he says I've always been funny, but he was the funny one.
My wife has always been funny because she believes in who she is, and the way she presents her stories are they're hilarious. Because a lot of her humor is dry humor. A lot of her humor is what they would call corny humor. But she believes in it. And she believes it and she loves it. And I think that's what makes it so authentic and contagious.
So what year did you guys meet each other?
2005.
2005. All right. Yeah. So a lot happened between 2005 and 2020, which is sort of one of the base points for this story. Talk about the TikTok adventure here, right? So what happened in your relationship? What brought you to this point? What was going on in your career? Where were you guys thinking you were going to go? This show is designed for entrepreneurs. And one of the things that I really enjoy is talking about, just because somebody's an entrepreneur doesn't mean they don't have a lot of other stuff going on in their life. Right. There's not a lot of roads, and a lot of people find entrepreneurship in a lot of different ways. So what was going on with you business wise, home wise, where you're living? You guys are, correct me if I'm wrong, you guys are in Alabama right now. Is that right?
Yes, we're in Alabama right now. Mm-hmm.
All right,
never really thought Alabama was going to be home for us. Yeah. But Joaquin, when we take it all the way back to growing up, Joaquin was military. He was going to military. He was going to retire. He was going to rank up. He was going to get as much as he could possibly get out of the military. Okay. Degree and, going to school, taking advantage of the opportunity that the military gave him to go to school. Yeah. That was Joaquin's plan. He met me. And so let's talk about what my plan was. I didn't know if fashion, education, or the medical field. I never knew. But I knew at some point I would be teaching in some aspect. Because I just had I have a heart to teach. Yeah. I always knew that was my passion, was teaching. And at the time when I met Joaquin, though, I was working at the University of Southern Miss and attending grad school for my mental health degree. And I'd already had my elementary education degree, but didn't want to too much step into education so much. I didn't want to be in it for much longer. I knew I wanted to, level up and do something different with it. I always knew that mental health was a place for me, but 2 kids, recently divorced, now on my own, trying to go to grad school, working a full-time job and everything. I was like, I met Joaquin, didn't really know if I wanted to finish grad school. So I stopped going after my second semester of grad school. And at that point, I only had 15 more hours to go to get my graduate degree, and it's like, oh my God, but I got life, life is happening right now. We met in Hattiesburg, Mississippi, but I always knew, Cameron, that Joaquin was not going to be in Hattiesburg forever. I always knew that. I knew that once he graduated from USM, he was going to Memphis, Tennessee. I mean, he had property there. So when you talk about what were our plans, Joaquin already owned property. He had owned property since the age of 21.
Wow.
About his first property. And at the time when I met him, he'd had 6 properties,
Yeah.
all rented out or transitional homes or rooming houses, or, you know, he was very well established for himself at 24 years old. And now you meet this fine woman walking across campus and you chasing some tail, and you was like, man, she gotta tell me no. Nigga, you don't know what you get yourself into.
Yo, don't. Well, I tell you, I ain't having enough houses.
You know, it's and so with doing that, it was like, you know, man, so what do I do? And I just want Joaquin to take the story from there.
You have some decisions to make, Cameron.
Mm-hmm.
And this is everyone's going to come to that point in life. I don't care what age you are, but you're going to have some decision time where you say, look, do I challenge myself or do I keep being selfish? And when my wife, I made the choice to move back to Memphis, and we decided to continue our relationship. And my wife made the decision to pursue her career, and guess where it ended her up at? Memphis, Tennessee. Yep. Out of all the 6 states she applied for jobs at, Memphis was the one that gave her the best opportunity. So now, Cameron, we married.
No, we're not married yet. Now hold on, let me tell you something. So I moved to Memphis. Let me tell y'all the whole story. Okay. So I moved to Memphis, okay, in December of 2006.
That's true.
December of 2006, I moved to Memphis, okay, buy my own home. Okay, this for my first time purchasing my home. I was so proud of myself. So purchased my home. Joaquin was still living in his home and everything. And Cameron, so we had been together a year.
And let me say this, because I want to put a pin in this, because
Okay.
this is one of those relationship things. If I'm given, and I don't give a lot of relationship advice, but when I'm in that moment and I see my opportunity to give my little shiny nugget, my little piece, getting out and doing it on your own, renting your own place, owning your own place in your example, but doing that before you're moving from like mommy and daddy and then go and live with a boyfriend or girlfriend, I think it's such a big deal, because
Huge.
So many people end up in these relationships, and you could go and you could talk about this on the business side of it,
Yep.
you know, love, place, right?
Yep.
But in these relationships where they feel like they're locked in because they don't feel like they can do it on their own. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, that was very important for my wife. And this is the thing.
Yeah.
All I told my wife was, I'm here if you need me.
Yeah.
Because I knew it was big for her. My wife, my family, fortunately for me, my uncles had been in real estate for some years.
Yeah.
And that's how I learned my knowledge of doing things and purchasing homes and putting things into place. So when she had the opportunity to do it, I knew there was a desire for her. So I'm not going to take that away from her. I want her to feel that, you know, this is what she's done. And this is the thing. At that point in time, Cameron, it wasn't a lock that we were going to make it.
Right.
It wasn't a lock that we were going to make it. So I didn't want her to move up there and be in a position where now I have nothing.
Mm-hmm.
No, have your own to fall back on, because I'm going to have mine.
Yeah. And and look, and I was like,
Yep.
I want my own. I want to know that I'm able to have a career and I'm able to have a home that if anything ever happened to us, I can still sustain.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't depend on you for anything. He never paid a bill until we married.
Yep.
Joaquin never paid a bill until we married. Joaquin did not move in with me until we married.
Yeah.
Until we married. And we were dead set on that because we didn't want anything to falter. But here's the thing. I'm in Memphis in 2006. Joaquin did not ask me to marry him until 2.5 years into our relationship after I told him that I wasn't going to be in a relationship for 5, 10, 13 years, and he never asked me to marry him.
And she wasn't.
And I told him, look, I am not going to sit here and waste my time if marriage is not the goal. Now, hence, I got 2 failed marriages ahead of me, okay?
Yeah. Your track record ain't looking too good right now.
Don't look too good right now.
And Cameron, I know there's a common denominator in both of those marriages.
Okay, me.
Oh, man. You know, I always talk, this is one of my common stories too. And that I love you talking about like the common denominator thing. When somebody's having a bad day, they go out the door in the morning and they, maybe they ran into a doorman or somebody on the street and they had a big challenge with them and they got into the taxi and the taxi guy was horrible and they go to, get a coffee and that person behind the counter is horrible. And they're recounting the story at the end of the day. And you're listening to this person, they're saying everybody that they met was horrible. It's like, who is the horrible person in this story?
Like, who's the horrible person in this story? Because you could have chosen to change that at any point in your day. So, yes, it's like so truly it was. I told him I just can't do it. And I asked him, I was like, what does marriage look like to you? He said to me,
I was, this was very immature and ignorance.
He said to me,
at its best,
it's hopeless. It never works. It's, and hence, and Cameron, I'm telling you, that speaks volumes from where he was then in the mindset to shifting that mindset now to where we are as we help individuals, as we help couples, as we help spouses understand that marriage is what you make it. Like marriage is about finding that love, that laughter, that hope, finding that thing that makes that foundation for you.
And believing it.
And because where we're from, Cameron, the households that we're from, the families that we're from, we should be together. Like we beat the odds.
Well, I was going to ask you what was going on with both of your sets of parents that made you, Joaquin, feel like marriage is hopeless, as not an institution that's meaningful.
Well, I watched my parents were married for 24 years. But from a very young age, I saw my father commit adultery on my mom for years. I'm talking about it's at one point in my life, I realized it wasn't even hidden adultery. It was just open. And my mom just, she endured it. For whatever reason, her definition of love, I saw my father physically abuse my mom mentally, emotionally. So me knowing who I came from, who I was, I just didn't view marriage as a successful route. Even though you see it outside of there and you want that, you know what you come from. You're like, And sometimes this is what most people say, I'm not going to be this. And the more you say I'm not going to be this, more likely you're going to fall right into that category because you're trying so hard not to be something that you're really in depth to until you start paying attention and say, look, I can change this. I can change this. So that's what I saw growing up.
It sounds like acceptance versus denial, right?
Yes. Yes. This is what I always told them. This is one thing I told my wife. This is before we got married. I knew I would be one hell of a husband. That was never a question. The fact that I knew I would be that, but could I be that? Because of what I saw. I didn't have the examples.
Good. That is good.
I didn't have the examples, Cameron. So even the statement that she just made to you, I got that statement talking to a divorced person who was venting to me. And what he said resonated with what I came from. So with me trying to express what was said and inside of me came out as, a definite no. And that was nowhere where my heart was. And that's why I always tell people, even in business, you have to be careful who you get your advice from. You have to be careful who you get your advice from when it comes to marriage, business, life, period. Because one thing about it, the old people say birds of a feather flock together. Yeah, if somebody is still broken in business or relationships and they view everything through brokenness, guess what kind of information they're going to give you? Broken information.
Broken information.
Mm-hmm. Well, and you got a lot of folks that they're experts, right? They're so knowledgeable, but they're not necessarily practitioners. And you want to get your information from somebody that's doing it, that's done it. Whether you're talking about career advice, entrepreneurship, relationship advice, right? Talking to somebody that's single about how to stay in a long-term marriage, probably not the best.
Yeah.
Talking to someone twice divorced and then in a successful marriage, great. That's the person to talk to.
Yeah.
Like, you can't get to what not to do.
You've seen the errors. You've walked down the roads that you're not supposed to. Yeah,
for sure.
Yes.
For sure. And for me, Cameron, I didn't see marriage, period, growing up. I didn't. I saw man after man after man. And not just from my mom, just from her family, period.
Mhm.
You know, and when I look at my oldest brother, when I look at my stepdad, when I look at my father, you know, whom I lived with in New York, you know, it was never marriage, you know, it was girlfriend, or then with my mom, it was boyfriend, or wasn't even that. There weren't labels. These were just people that were in their life that, of course, as I grew up and watched, I knew what was going on there, you know? And so that's what I came from. I came from watching adulterous relationships throughout my entire life, you know, and seeing that my mom never married, you know, my aunt who finally got married after 16 years being with one man, my sister who gets married after 13 years of being with, and I mean, in these things, my little brother was with his girlfriend for 12 years. And I'm like, I'm not repeating that cycle. Like, I'm not doing that. You know,
Facts.
yeah, you know, facts. I ain't doing it. I ain't doing it. But you know, it's like, no, I'm not going to sit here in this. And I think that's why I was married so many times, because I wasn't like, want to get married? Yes, let's go.
Well, I know
Cameron.
for me growing up, I was with a single father in New York. My mother was out on the West Coast, and I identify with you because there was a lot of men in her life, and I'd go spend summers out there. So you get some sort of examples, but I know for me, growing up in that, there was an incredible desire for family. I was a single child with my dad. My siblings were out on the West Coast with my mom. So I was like, there was that desire in me. And you can talk about, like, you know, the woman looking for the father figure. You can talk about, you know, the mama's boy. You can talk about all these different things. But when you don't have it, there's that incredible desire for what you feel like was missing in your life. So I know I was very much in a hurry to be in a relationship as an awkward white boy growing up in the urban jungle in New York City. Sometimes that felt a little challenging for me. And then I go out to California, and I was like fresh meat out there, and you're like, what's going on in this world? Like I'm like a nerd over here, but I go over here and I'm cool. Like, you know, it's weird what we think we know versus what actually is, and all that. So you guys are kind of getting the formations of your relationship, 2007. You guys are getting married around that time. And so what's going on career-wise and business-wise for you guys?
So career-wise, we're still thinking that having these career jobs is what's going to bring our money. Going to bring us a paycheck to paycheck. Okay. Yeah. Truly. And I won't say necessarily paycheck to paycheck, but knowing that every 2 weeks or once a month, we have money coming in. Yeah. So that was our mindset for a long time. That was my mindset for a long time. Joaquin always knew he wanted to be an entrepreneur. Always knew it. That's why he was buying the properties at such an early age, is because he knew he wanted to do something with that. Yeah. So we always knew he was going to be an entrepreneur. And what I did when we finally married in 2008, was when we were setting the stage for our house, setting the stage for our marriage, setting the stage for the vision that we saw for our family, we would sit down every year and talk about what's on your heart. What do you want to do? So for 6 years straight, I would ask Joaquin, if there was something that you could do for free, what would it be? And Cameron, his answer never changed. He always wanted to speak into the lives of young men and men who struggled without a father, who struggled in urban areas, that didn't think that there was a way out. He wanted to talk to men who walked through poverty as a child, because their parents just didn't have. And this was his answer for 6 years straight. 6 years straight. And I always wanted my husband to be in purpose. Okay. And that was one of the things we always talked about, was let's be in purpose. Let's be in purpose. You know, we got to be in purpose. And it was like, this is what my husband wants to do. How can we make this happen? And 6 years. So 6 years into our marriage, 5 years into our marriage is when we started Blended and Winning. And we started Blended and Winning at a very difficult time in our marriage. We were rebuilding our marriage from possibly going through a divorce year 1.5, 2. Okay. Because of my infidelity. And I tell people that, you know, pretty openly, because I was still finding myself too. I knew that I was very career oriented. So I always wanted to level up. I was always wanting to be in positions that offered me an opportunity to climb the ladder. Okay. But I was so career driven, making sure that I was the help me that I needed to be for him. So entrepreneurship was just not that thing for me. But I knew my husband wanted to do it, and I wanted to do everything that I could to get him to that place. Not knowing that God was truly going to use me, my purpose, to be just that for him, to help catapult him to that place as well.
Yeah.
So after 5 years of discussing that, that's when we started Blended and Winning. We were in bed one night. I was arguing with my sister or my brother or my mom or somebody. And Joaquin was just sick of it. He was sick of it. And he said, what?
I said, look, hang up the phone. I said, we're blended and winning. Ain't nothing nobody can do about it.
Yep.
And I was like, hang up the phone. And she hung up the phone, Cameron. And she turned to me and she said, what did you just say? What did you mean? I said, what do you mean? She said, what did you say? I said, we're blended and what? I said, we're blended and winning. I said, God's been giving this to me for a few weeks now. Just talking to him, he was like, blended and winning. I didn't know what that meant, Cameron. And she's like, well, what do you hear when you say that? And I was like, well, we're a blended family. We're going to win. We need to figure out how we're going to do that. And then I asked her, I said, what do you hear? And she starts telling me what she heard when I said that. And it sounded so good the way she put it, Cameron. I said, you know what? That's exactly what I was. That's what I was trying to say. Exactly what I was trying to say. You just took my thoughts and put it into your words. And what I just said, and I said that literally.
He did.
I literally said that. And at that moment, I was like, so I've gotten the vision. I've gotten the purpose. And I knew at that moment, this right here was going to be my engine.
Yep.
Engine, because of our background. Look, my wife, and I'm gonna tell you something. Because of my wife's different viewpoints from life, coming from Mississippi, seeing New York was a culture shock for her, but it gave her a different sense of life, different sense of drive and push. So her adding it to my fears, man,
yeah.
Perfect cocktail.
Yeah, and in that, it's like establishing his purpose. Like I was like, so baby, describe your purpose to me. Like, what's your purpose? What's your purpose? And I used to always try to tell him, I said, if you ever describe your purpose to somebody, I said, your purpose is bridging the gap. You're bridging the gap for individuals, for families, for marriages, for people walking in faith. That's what it is. It's bridging the gap to help them see it from a different perspective, because that's what people need. And when I tell you, when we started Blended and Winning, we started counseling at $0. $0. We rented an office space in Memphis, Tennessee. We started doing counseling from there, and we would take donations because we wanted to build ourselves. We wanted to develop ourselves. So we took classes, we got certifications, we did all of that. And then I ended up getting a job in mental health. I worked for a psychiatrist at a Christian-based psychiatry firm. And what I did was I did transcranial magnetic stimulation. So I was the coordinator for that, but I also performed the actual treatment, which is a non-drug treatment for major depressive disorder. And meeting the people that I met, that's when I knew I was supposed to be in mental health. So we decided that going through, since I'm already there, go back to school, get my clinical hours that I need, go ahead and take the last 4 classes that I need in 2 semesters, and let's get it done. Because this is where I was supposed to be. And that's when I learned about grief recovery. That's when I learned that a lot of where we come from, what we think, and our traumatic experiences, the seeds have been planted and we've allowed them to grow, which then have grown into depression, anxiety, bipolar, and things
bad decision
making and things of that nature, because we have so much unresolved grief. And I mean, I was like, oh my God, but I loved it. When I tell you, I loved it. I loved what I did. She loved it. I got up.
She loves it.
I still love it. I still love it. And I mean, just learning what it did for people and walking through transcranial magnetic stimulation with them, and then going through the talk therapy and the grief recovery while they were working through taking the non-drug medication. Man, it was amazing to see the end results of that as well.
Yeah. And I'm going to tell you something else, Cameron. I believe everyone at some point in their life, earlier than later, should do grief counseling. Grief recovery. Seriously, because there are a lot of things that happen in our lives that we really don't realize how much it impacts us for the negative. Because what we do is internalize things, try to bury it, and say, that it's not going to affect me. But the whole time it is affecting me. It's affecting you as well. So when my wife actually went through grief counseling, it was, man, to watch her just cry and weep at things that she hadn't thought about in years and how it affected her, or how certain people affected her. It was amazing. Then I went through it, and I was like, wow, that little boy that was screaming out for attention is still there. As a grown man, that little boy that was still screaming out for attention was still there.
Yeah.
And still broken. So until you can, recognize these things, it's going to affect you and hold you back. Well, in my opinion, it'll hold you back in some areas.
Yeah. And so here we are. Now we're at 2007 because, of course, remember, I want to work a career job. I want to be able to say that I got a paycheck coming in every 2 weeks. Joaquin is still working Joaquin owned his own lawn care. Okay. He still was military. So I'm still like, I'm going to work every day, and Joaquin.
You said 2007 or 2017?
2017.
Yeah, I figured. I just want to get clear.
Yeah. So we're up to 2017 at this point. And that's when I published the book, Total Surrender.
Yes.
Okay.
And I published the book, Total Surrender, after going through grief recovery and learning that I had to surrender it all. That I truly had to surrender it. And that's what Blending and Winning was all about. Was starting Blending and Winning was to help other people surrender too.
Yep.
Was to truly help them get to a place of complete surrender and understanding that they can't do this alone, that they need help walking through this.
Yep. And this is the thing, what better way to do it than someone who's actually done it?
Yeah.
I always tell people, it's going to be hard for you to teach me something that you haven't been through.
Yeah.
Or hard for me to buy into what you haven't been through.
Yeah. And I tell people all the time, and how I make it come together for them when I tell them you need someone to walk through this with you. Jesus had 12 disciples. He had 12 people walking next to him to do it. Now, all those people weren't healthy for him, but they served their purpose.
They served the purpose
that they needed to serve. He didn't do it by himself. And he utilized their strengths and even their weaknesses to get his people what they needed. Healing, peace, salvation, all of that. So, and so that's where we really, it really just started for us in 2017. Yeah. I think Joaquin and I we were really on to something at that time.
Yeah. But it took.
And what did the Blending and Winning practice? I know you started out, and this is a great entrepreneurship hack too. And I love this because you guys started, serving people before you kind of figured it all out. Start serving people for, as you said, $0, doing it for free because you were in it. You had your hustles going on. I know Joaquin had the real estate thing, and sounded like he had a lawn care business. I know you guys. I was looking at LinkedIn profiles, and I know insurance and pharmaceutical stuff is a part of the mix here, and restaurant business. Like you guys have been doing things.
Yes.
So talk to me a little bit about that, because you have your hands in lots of different things. So you're managing that in the relationship. What does that look like in 2017?
Well, at this point in 2017, we've been doing counseling now for 9 years. So in 2017, that was
we were
4 or 5 years.
Yeah,
we were doing it part time.
Yeah,
and I love the way that we progressed. We didn't jump right in it. We got our feet wet. We understood some things. We saw what our roles were. We saw what we were strong at, what we were weak at, and more importantly, in any type of business.
You guys were a partnership too.
Yes.
So in terms of talking about your roles, you're talking about what pieces of the business that you guys were both managing.
Yes, not pieces of the business, and how we conduct our home and our business, and even with the counseling, you have certain people and certain couples. My wife is going to speak more direct to because of their situation.
Right.
I'm gonna speak to some things more because of the situation. How we piggyback off each other makes it such a dynamic duo for us, because we can see it from different sides of the track. However, we can bring it together.
Well, and this is something I want to go back to, because I thought what you were talking about before in terms of somebody that's gone through it. And so that careful balance. You want to give people your authenticity, right? And I refer back to this book, The Go-Giver, a lot. And there's this chapter on, bringing people into your authentic self.
Yes.
And I think it's such a relevant piece of the puzzle, because you want people to know your story, but you also know people that go too far and make it more about them, and you're still in service, right? You're telling your service and story of somebody, not to self-serve, but in service of others, which I thought you put it that beautifully.
Yes. Now, The Go-Giver is an amazing book. When I was in grad school finishing my degree for mental health, I had a pharmaceutical rep to recommend that book to me because I was still at the doctor's office at the time. And she said, Stacey, this book makes me think of you as a go-giver. She was like, you are so service oriented. She said, you're all about the patient.
Yeah.
She's like, you want to see the patient get better. So you'll do whatever, you'll go that extra mile to make sure that you bring people in, to let them know, look, I assure you, we're going to do everything we possibly can to make that happen. But as we transitioned into our roles, like you said, I was in hospitality. So when I was, right before I went into mental health and decided to get my degree, I stopped teaching. So I had done 15 years of teaching at that point, and I told Joaquin, like, I just have to do something. And the school system in Tennessee had merged, and we knew that it wasn't a good merge. Okay. So I came out of the school system, and I went and worked in hospitality with a bachelor's degree, working on my master's degree. I was a host at Olive Garden.
Yep.
And then I started hosting at Seasons 52, the restaurant. Met an amazing mentor, and he mentored me for 5 years.
Yes, he did.
And he mentored me in hospitality, and because I love people, I just love people, period. So that's where the hospitality piece comes in at, because I did get into hospitality. I stopped hospitality to go into mental health, and when I stopped working for the psychiatrist to buffer finances as we were really building Blended and Winning, I went back to hosting. At Seasons 52. I went back to hosting. And when I went back into hosting, I got into hospitality, and my mentor said, you're not here just to be a host. It was like, you're too valuable to just be a host.
Yep.
And that's when I got into sales.
And management.
Yes, and in management, and in hospitality management. And when I tell you there's a pull on you in hospitality management, there is a pull on you physically, mentally, spiritually, socially, because it requires very long hours in hospitality. But I needed to do what I needed to do to help build Blended and Winning. And that's what I did for many years, while Joaquin actually went and worked on his skill set in communication. So he worked for Avis Budget Car Rental. Now, remember, Cameron, what I want to bring here as we talk about this is all of these things that we did was preparing us for right now.
Plays a huge part in us. So we're building ourselves. We're learning. We're still growing. We're getting the experience that we need to bring it all together. So that's why, hence, we still got to.
When you talk about hospitality, you talk about Avis Car Rental, because you know anybody that's been to these car, like it's, creating that relationship in the moment and all that. It's very much hospitality centered, and then you bring it back forward, because we're building up here towards all the relationships that you've created online. Like it's all about people and people, connecting with people. Absolutely.
Yes. And even taking our own experiences, how we've been treated in some ways, and how we've been received in certain atmospheres, or perceived in certain atmospheres.
Yeah.
So everything I've done from the yard work to security to Avis, it's put me in different positions to see different attitudes, to see how you're viewed, to see how people's bad day, like you said earlier, people's bad day can be thrown on you. Yeah. And if you don't watch it, you will allow their attitude to be on you. Yeah. And now you're upset. So when I started at Avis car rental, I was in return line, and I'm telling you, some of the rudest people returning those vehicles, because they've had some of the worst days and worst business meetings, and all you want to do is ask them the question that you've been trained to ask, and they don't want to hear it, and you have to keep your composure, because if not, you're in the wrong. But I learned how to allow just who I am and my personality to win over people. And so once you start building those relationships, like you said, with certain people, you can see them coming in and be like, hey, I know you don't want to after you ask the question. I got it. Thank you, sir. And the next thing you know, they're being nice to you. Next thing you know, hey, I want him to check me in. And then upon that, I go downtown, go downstairs, and I end up being a counter rep. Best thing ever happened to me, man. Because now I can present people, and I can actually not just be someone you bring your problem, but I can help solve your problem.
Yeah.
And when
isn't that a great place to be? Like you're working with a company, and I love that differential, right? Because you can be on that reactive piece, or you can be in that place where you're putting the things in place to make sure that everything goes well, and it's a wonderful experience.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, see, all of that played a part into what we're doing, and we have been doing this. And my wife, I'm not gonna lie to you, Cameron, my wife had been encouraging me to do this full time, but I was afraid because I was used to the check. And this is the thing now. If I'm single, boom, I'm going for it.
Yeah.
I had no problem with it. My wife know I'm gonna go get her.
Right.
However, now I'm responsible for a wife and kids.
Yeah.
So sometimes that fear of maybe not having and the comfort of what we would call stability is there in a check. Mm-hmm. And it holds you back from really stepping out there. Yeah. But I met a young man named I don't know name drop, but I met a young guy who was a motivational speaker. And that's something that I've been wanting to get into, and I've been dabbling in. I wasn't sure if I was ready for it. He met me one day, late night in Avis, renting a car. And he just kept staring at me. He was listening to me talk, and he was just smiling. And he said, is this what you want to do for the rest of your life? And I said, absolutely not. He said, what else do you want to do? And I told him. And he started smiling. He said, man, you'd be great at it. He said, my name is such and such. He said, I'm a motivational speaker. He said, you have what it takes.
Mm. Isn't that amazing when somebody, I mean, and I love that. And I think that's something that everybody can do. When you see something in somebody else, letting them know that, right?
Yes.
What an impact you have on somebody's life when you see a talent or a skill set in somebody. And I know I've been in that position where, somebody is just sort of like, maybe they laughed it off and whatever, but man, I wish, right, somebody had come to me earlier on in my life, told me I had some of these skills. And so I try to, when I see somebody, because it's such a gift, right? And whether they take it and do something with it or not, but it's such a gift to tell somebody. And I love that you're acknowledging that with that person coming to you and giving you that gift, like, hey, you got this, because what a confidence builder that is.
Yes.
And our teachers and our mentors, when they do that for us, it's such a big deal. I know most people can probably think back to a grade school or high school teacher, one special person that said, hey, you got this, you can do this. It's such a gift. I love that.
Yep. Yes. And I'm gonna be honest with you. My wife has been telling me this for years now at this point.
Yeah, but we don't listen to her. I tell my wife all the time, you're talented. She doesn't.
Yes. They're too close to us.
Yeah.
And I remember going home saying, baby, I'm ready to do it. And she was like, okay, what changed? And when I told her, she was like, good, it's about time. I was like, yeah. And I was
what year? So when was this? What was that date?
That was 2017, 2018.
2000.
All right. So let's get into this social media story, because at what point do you guys? Because I know this is something that has definitely transformed the journey for you, right? And am I right in saying that? So what started this social media journey? And obviously you guys have been thinking about, and I love this because this is the backstory, right? There was a lot of intention and things that you wanted to do, and these kind of forces have come together. So talk to us about this TikTok story here.
So even not about TikTok, 2017, we started doing videos. 2017, 2018, we started doing videos on YouTube, just putting out there, encouraging marriages, and also working on our social skills and camera skills and XYZ. And we were doing it and really realized it was prepping us. So from 2018-ish to 2020, we're just doing this
YouTube and Facebook. So we're on YouTube and Facebook at this point. Yeah.
And we're just doing some things, getting a little hits here and there, and not much.
Right.
And when the pandemic hit, my wife started, because of our daughters annoying my wife, begging her to get on TikTok. I didn't know what TikTok was.
So, and I think this is really important because you put some amazing groundwork. Because everybody think, oh, it just went viral and they just got lucky and all this stuff. But you had put in work on YouTube and Facebook, and so when you went over to TikTok, you brought some of those people with you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
A few.
Yes, we brought a few of those with us. Yes, we did. Go ahead, baby. Finish telling how we set the stage for TikTok.
So my daughter being annoying my wife. You know, my wife got tired of it. She said, "Okay, if I get on TikTok, I'm going to be famous." And she said, "Okay, I'm gonna go for it." She started doing a little dance with my daughters, and then she would tell me a joke, and I was like, "Stacey," but this is the thing. This was Stacey started doing on camera what she did every day.
Yep.
Was annoy us with her corny jokes and her big old spirit, and we would get tired of it. And I'll be darned if now here's somebody saying that's a family that can have fun together. Mm-hmm. And what I love about this, Cameron, is we blew up on TikTok. Yes, we did, because people are now in the pandemic. People are at home, and a lot of the people have been saying this for years. I wish I had more time with my family. I wish I had time with my kids. And now you have the opportunity, and you're like, I'm about to go crazy. Mm-hmm. So we were almost like an outlet for a lot of families.
For a lot of families, yeah.
However, it wasn't until a lot of people that do not reside on TikTok or Instagram want to say, hey, where can we find more content about you? We really don't follow TikTok like that.
Right.
Well, we're also on YouTube.
Yeah.
And when they started going to YouTube, the common statement that we used to get was, oh my God, you all are more than jokes.
You guys are more than jokes. Mm-hmm. Yep.
And that right there set a rocket fire or a spark to a rocket that just hasn't stopped going yet.
It hasn't stopped. And when me telling the jokes, his laugh, like I'm telling you, that's what catches everybody's attention is his laugh. Like Joaquin has this very contagious, like very infectious, very different laugh. And that's what did it for us. Now we go into quarantine. And that's what made me get on it, because I'm sitting here, I'm in pharmaceuticals. We go home to work from home. I mean, what does that look like from a pharmaceutical standpoint?
Yeah,
you know,
a lot of Zoom calls.
A whole lot of Zoom and team meets and, you know, Microsoft team meetings. And I'm like, I'm tired. So what am I doing in between here? Annoy him. Like, let me go and tell him a joke while he's eating breakfast, or let me go tell him a joke while he's sitting outside on the patio, eating or reading a book. You know, let me go tell him a joke. And that's really how it started. Yep. It started with a simple joke of, hey, what do you call a cheap circumcision? A ripoff.
A ripoff.
Like, a ripoff. That's what a circumcision is.
Love it.
You know, so that's what built us. And I'm telling you, Cameron, 2020, we go into the pandemic in March of 2020. Yep. We get on TikTok in the March, beginning of April, and it's slow. By May, I make this video and I say, oh, well, people are going to be looking at me and they're going to be like, oh, you're that lady on TikTok. Like, you're famous. Like, you're TikTok famous. You're an influencer on TikTok. I made a video March the 26th of 2020 when I only had like 5K viewers.
And TikTok was not meant for us. Well, it wasn't. We didn't get on TikTok planning to be famous or
influencers or anything. It was not our intention. We just wanted to have fun because we saw it was a lot of fun and our kids was enjoying it until I went viral. and before, you know, until I really became famous and they got a little jealous. Yeah. But they okay now. They okay now. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And when I tell you it was the deaf gynecologist joke that changed our lives.
Yes.
It truly changed our lives. We saw TikTok. We saw Instagram. We saw Facebook go to a whole nother level. Because they saw a family. And when I say they saw a Black family together, having dinner, but having fun also. Yeah. And
let me say this, because I'm going to say this because I think people will point to these viral moments. But I know when looking at your channel, one thing that was aspirational and inspirational for me, I was looking at your channel and I was going, wow, you know, she's got a tremendous following on it. And I don't know what the viewer count was, but, you know, I was impressed. I think even if it wasn't 1,000, I was like impressed. I was just jumping on a TikTok and trying to figure it out. And, you know, I listen to people like Gary Vaynerchuk and people talk about, you know, showing up and being on these medias. And, you know, I try to take it seriously. I got started in 2020 with BizDev Live. I saw it, and I was trying to find it here so I could play it, but of course I'm having trouble finding it. But there was this I Love Lucy TikTok that you guys did.
Yes.
And when I saw that, I was like, that's something I could do, right? That's something that, me and my wife could do. That's something that just about anybody, I feel like, if they, and that makes it accessible, right? And I think that's something that, something about the TikTok platform is like, oh, wow, that's fun, that's accessible. And I realized, people could do this from whatever walk of life. You can find something that fits what your thing is. And, I started telling your story to other people. I was like, here's this lady that I know, right? At that Loper lady, this lady I know. And, and I would play the I Love Lucy clip. And then you could see like the light bulb going on in their eyes, like, oh, like I get that.
Yeah.
It wasn't a teenager dancing around. It wasn't, somebody doing something, crazy that, they weren't, feel comfortable doing. It was funny. It was light. And it was something that, if you're not 20 years old, you know what it is. Yeah. And, that kind of thing. It was something that was instantly relatable. It was fun and a great access way. So I know you're going to point to it, your pinpoint where you start seeing the numbers. But for me, I can look at your channel and just say, you guys, for a 40-something old white dude looking at it, I was able to look at your channel and say, wow, this is something serious, right? Like this is fun, and I see why this is worthwhile. So that's what you guys did personally for me.
Awesome. Thank you for that.
And I think that you did that for a lot of other people too. So talk to me about this journey, right? When did it become something? Because I know you've been sponsored by Bang Energy, and this has turned into money for you. But when did this become something where you guys were like, holy smokes, this is something that's going to change our lives?
That summer. Was it that summer?
That summer, August.
Yeah,
August of 2020.
August of 2020, when I think the consistency, people saw that we were consistent with it, and by this time, I think Stacey had really found her comfort zone, or started finding her comfort zone, and I was over it.
And talk to me about that, because, and again, people go back and whether it's TikTok or YouTube, people say, "Oh wow, this is luck," but obviously, the consistency aspect of this, there's no getting around. If you're going to show up consistently, it's work.
We tell people all the time in business consulting, because we just added business consulting in 2021 to our repertoire, simply because we know that so many people are looking for that aspect of learning how to get out there and start. And I'm telling you, now is the time. And it's about showing up and being present. It is about giving your followers, giving them the content that they are looking for. We have large corporations reaching out to us, and it's like, what do your followers want to see? And when we are hit with a SOW for a campaign, and they have all of these requirements that we have to meet, it's like, this is too staged.
Yeah.
Like, this is too staged.
And for all the people out there that are asking or wondering, we have never done one TikTok that was pre-rehearsed. My wife has never told me a joke that was pre-rehearsed. If she's not catching me off guard, I don't do fake. Yeah. It's just when I tell you she annoys me, and a lot of times what I love about my wife is, Cameron, people don't know this, but she will come tell me a joke when we're not on the best of terms, when we're not really liking each other. I love her. She loves me, but that's an icebreaker.
Yes.
So, those moments are moments that you are being very intimate with us in our house, and just really seeing us respond to each other. Love each other. So,
and when those things come across our desk, Joaquin was like, sometimes we don't take them, and sometimes we do still take them, even though they want us to meet these requirements, because we've worked with some great brands, like amazing brands. Really great brands. And we're hoping to venture out into even larger brands in 2022. And what we're learning is, when we're talking to these brands, it's about, how can that Loper lady, how can that this Loper family really bring a new look to your brand.
Authenticity.
Authenticity,
Yep.
like bringing it to our house, making it a household name that people want to get this. People want this. Like, I'm going to purchase this because I saw that Loper lady and her husband on here, and she made it so much fun.
Yeah.
Like an insurance commercial or some potato chips or something.
Yes.
It's like, really, really bringing it back to the family, and making
you guys are good on time.
Yes, we're good. We're good on time.
Right. So I want to hit a couple of different things. One is with the deals that you've done in the past, and this is something for folks that are in this, kind of influencer zone. You got 4.2 million. I mean, you guys are right now in terms of audience. I think you're bigger than some cable news networks, right? I mean, just putting things out there for folks in terms of what the viewership model is and why somebody would pay to be on your channel and be featured and that sort of thing, right? But talk to me about some of, because you weren't always at 4.2 million. And so you've been able to keep your authenticity and do that, which I think is important. What did some of those deals look like before, and what did you learn from doing those deals as you were kind of coming up through this and getting more experience with it?
So I'm going to tell you, starting out with getting the deals, that dollar amount for that video isn't going to be in those, double digits. They're gonna be low.
Yeah.
Okay. They're gonna be low because what these brands want to see is they want to see that, first of all, you're consistent. You're gonna do this on a regular basis. And that's one of the things that we have been told by so many brands is that even when you guys aren't doing a brand, y'all are just out there. Like y'all are just doing it, And we tell people, don't take a break. Is it exhausting? Oh my God, it is exhausting. It can be very exhausting, but you have to keep going because that people are looking. We have followers that tell us, like, we've been looking for y'all. Where have y'all been? Like, when we don't go live, people are like, where are y'all? Like, what are you doing?
Okay, yeah, and let's talk about this. So, like, I think TikTok, once you get to 1,000, is it 1,000 allows you to go live? For folks that are trying to get to 1,000, maybe you can throw a little bit of tip for them to get there. But I know this is a big deal, right? This live, especially for TikTok and some of these other platforms. What's the whole? Why don't we do that? For folks that are under 1,000, we can lay out something for them. What would you recommend? What was your advice to those folks? And then let's hit live right after that.
Okay, be you.
Be you. Be you and be tip, because when you try to be someone else, you're not going to be able to be consistent being someone else. Be you, and this is the thing: be you and stay encouraged.
And when you say be you, is like, don't try to be Joaquin and Stacey telling jokes every day, because you were talking about this is something that you would do with the camera on or with the camera off. This is what you do.
Yeah.
I know my wife would hit me over the head. Physically, I'd be going, like, they'd have to call the EMTs if I try to record her and do some stuff. That might not be the thing for you. Right. in your home. And I think about some of the things that I do with my family that I could put on camera, like reading stories with the kids every night, and I don't do it. And I thought about it before, and I don't do it. And so, maybe doing some more of that stuff is something that I can personally do. What are some other examples of folks that you've seen have success, just to give some people some variety of options to choose from that they might not be thinking about, to give some inspiration here?
Yes,
a niche
or saying
or singing. Doing some of the lip syncs, and making them fun, like the I Love Lucy. Like, we thoroughly enjoyed doing that. Yeah. Like, we had fun doing that because it was something that we could relate to. We love Lucy.
Yes.
You find those sounds or you find those inspirations that you add your own twist to. And just so happened was telling jokes was my niche.
Yeah. And people have to see that you're versatile as well.
Yeah.
People have to see that you can actually relate to them. Or you're willing to step outside of your what is considered comfort zone.
Yeah. To
grow. It's truly about don't watch the numbers so much. I always tell people I was the number watcher because I was like, we're gonna do it, okay. Now I'm like, well, this ain't moving. And one thing someone told us was, man, you all are one move or one video away from being where you need to be, and they're not lying.
And that is the truth. You are one video away from people recognize it's like, man, that was authentic. Like that was real. That was genuine.
And celebrate the small victories.
Mm-hmm.
If you gain 10 followers, hey, congratulate yourself.
Yeah.
If you gain 100 followers, congratulate yourself.
Yep.
Some people are always to the point where, oh my God, well, this person gained 1,000. How did they do it?
Mm-hmm.
Don't worry about that.
And be consistent. I'm telling you, be consistent. Don't post a video 1 week and then 3 weeks later you post another one.
Yeah.
You're not.
And I see it right now. I'm seeing some people, because it's the new year, and I think people got their resolutions in effect. So you get the gym kind of thing, and they're posting like crazy. Like every time I open up an app, like they're posting, and I'm just sitting to myself, well, that's pretty cool that they're like, being on it. And I just wonder what this is going to look like in a month from now, 3 months from now. Is it going to be that same? Are they setting something up for themselves that's impossible to keep up with later?
Right.
So that's great. So I think we laid out some stuff. Be consistent with it, and I would say, I know we were talking before we jumped on, but I just regret not doing stuff for my business and stuff for the nonprofit that I work with, and being consistent, even if it was one video a week or one video a month. 10 years of videos, that's going to be an epic amount of content that people can interact with, and it's meaningful. And I have the example of posting some videos that weren't optimized in 2009. So for anybody that's just sort of wondering, does it work? 40,000 views for these videos, and maybe that's not significant to somebody, but for something that I put very little effort into and put it up, so if you do that consistently,
there you go.
And this is what I would tell people that probably say a video or something is not important to someone else. You never know how important that will be to your future.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because if the day comes that you do blow up, it's going to be those things that were insignificant. People are going to go back and watch and be like, oh, there's a nugget there.
Yeah.
And you can use that, be like, these are the nuggets and these are the principles that we stand on. Mm-hmm. This is the thing. We're not moving away from what we do.
Right.
I don't want to do what someone else does. I want to be who we are and build from that. And this is the thing. We understand it's not for everyone. And the people that are out there still watching us to make sure we're being consistent, they're waiting for that. They're waiting to hit the follow thing. But there are also people waiting to say, see, I told y'all.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
So you have to be mindful of that. Everyone's not for you.
Yep.
And so talk to me about this live thing, right? So once you got past 1,000 followers, this live thing, and what importance does that have? Because you are posting all this video content, and today's show is all about relationships. I imagine this live thing, because I've seen it with other people, it's a big deal on the platform. I think one of the aspects of TikTok is that by doing the lives, you have this monetization feature just through the app. And you can talk to us about that. But also what that means in terms of relationships with the people that are actually following and watching you.
Being accessible.
Oh.
When people can actually feel like they can access you and you actually respond to them. We have followers now that when we come up, what's up, Vicky? How's your mom doing? How's this? How's it? Man, tell her we said, hey.
Building relationships. That's what lives do for us. And that's how a lot of people found out we were more than jokes.
Yeah.
Is that they actually caught a glimpse of a live, and we were talking about more than jokes. We weren't sitting there telling jokes.
No.
We were literally talking about our marriage. We were being very transparent. We were talking about relationships. We were talking about parenting. We were talking about these things that people want to hear. And then they began to go to our website. Mm-hmm. So it's it's about image. It's about recognition. It's about what are you really doing? Yes, I go on lives and I act crazy every now and then, but we always have a motive. So, the Bible says, I will make you fisher of men. Okay. What's your bait?
Yeah.
Our bait is actually the joke. We realized it in 2021 that our bait is actually the jokes.
She's my bait.
Yeah, like it's actually, that's what gets people like there, and they be like, "Oh my God, let me scroll up and see her next video. Let me scroll up to see her next video." And it's like, "Oh my God, this lady is funny. What else do they do?"
Yep.
It's the bait, and once they get the bait, they're reeling. Yep. It's about reeling in now, and now they go to the website, then they go to YouTube, and then they see that, oh my God, these people have been doing this for a while, and that's what lives do. YouTube live. TikTok lives, Instagram, you've got to go live.
And this is what I would tell someone who doesn't have a large following. Don't overdo it. on your lives, give your nuggets, get off.
Mm-hmm.
Give your nuggets and get off. If you stay on there too long, people aren't going to go on there and just watch you talk about nothing, especially stuff they don't understand. But if you give them practical nuggets, they can be like, "Oh, I like that," and then you go ahead and give them some. It's almost like a sitcom. They give you their little what to expect for next week, and you're waiting for it.
Yeah,
However,
I think if you're gonna see the notification and actually want to click on it and spend some time there, right? You want to see something happen. I know time and time again, whether it's on LinkedIn or it's on Facebook or any other platform, and I know I've been on TikTok and jumped into some of those lives. If I'm opening it up and the person's just kind of like, all right, I'm not hanging around here. Have something to say. I love that. So I want to get into some of our kind of takeaways for folks, and you had written here, in terms of folks, advice for folks. And I don't know if you want to continue down the road with some of the social media stuff, but love daily, laugh daily, hope daily, right? So how do you guys practice this? Obviously, you're staying consistent with the social media. That's turned into some different things for you. What is the future hold? So let's ask that question first, right? What does the future of all this look like? What's the plan for down the road? And then how does this love daily, right, laugh daily, hope daily fit into it?
So the future down the road, Cameron, to be honest with you, we're seeing where that Loper love is going to go.
Yeah.
Because that's truly where we can show people how to live, laugh, and love daily. So one of the things is we desire to be the change we want to see in faith, family, and marriage. Because we know that those are the things that are struggling the most. Is people's faith, their families, and their marriages. They're struggling these days with those things. And Joaquin and I have that desire to be that change. So when we talk about what does the future hold for us, we're hoping that 2022 is going to set us up for the next 10 years of truly showing people what love, laughter, and hope looks like in faith, family, and marriage. Yeah. And whether that's via a network or a national TV show, then that's what it be. But we know that TikTok, YouTube, and Facebook and IG will be a huge part of that, because we will be able to hit people that don't necessarily watch or stay up long enough to watch a TV show. Mm-hmm. We want to touch people who feel like reality TV show is not something that I will watch. Mm-hmm. But we want people to be able to say, now I'll watch their reality TV show because it's not full of drama. It's not full of the profanity. It's not full of, all of this stuff that my kids can't sit down and watch, TV has changed tremendously. Over the past few years.
Yeah. Well, and I love this because right now we have the ability. We can lift up the phone. Now I want to say this because you guys have been lifting up the phone for a long time. I got to say the production value of the YouTube show that you guys are putting together. I don't know what team you're working with or how you guys are doing. Maybe you can talk a little bit about that, like how that's come together, because you're putting that out on YouTube now, that Loper Love season 1 launched today.
Yeah.
Go check that out on YouTube. What sort of inspired that, right? And how did you put that production together versus, what you guys have traditionally been doing with just holding up the phone and going to work?
Well, I will start this off and I'm going to let her finish. I really didn't want to do it, but this is the thing. I really didn't want to do TikTok. I really didn't want to do TikTok Live.
Sometimes the women in our lives got to push us into it.
Yes, we have to have somebody, because this is the thing. This is what somebody on the first live told me. I said, well, I really don't want to be on here. I was talking for this, and then I started giving some examples of our life. And the guy said, dude, you're built for this. We need you. And that encouragement just was like, okay, I can do this, because this is the thing. You're looking at two very humble people. I'm not asking for your attention just to have your attention.
And I'm going to say this. I'm just going to put this out here. I don't remember Stacey being humble in high school.
Hey, a lot has changed. A lot has changed, Cameron. A lot has changed, Cameron. And let me tell you this right now. Inside of our home, she ain't too humble. Did you joke right here, boy? I'm glad you threw a little tidbit in there, Cameron. Thank you. And this is somebody telling y'all this before I knew her, y'all. So, but no, seriously. People have been telling us for about 6 years now, man, you all need y'all on reality show. And I would always tell my wife, not something we jockeying for. Not something if it happens, it happens. Well, my wife been brainstorming. And I think the right people reached out to her. And she started doing her research. Stacey started being Stacey. Started, inquiring about some things. And we got a hold to a certain executive who really gave us some great information.
Mm-hmm.
And my wife said, babe, I want to invest in us. And every year, at the end of our year, we break down our finances. And if we have some left over, she gets a little piece of money to do what she want to do, just be, thankful for what she's done for us. So she took the lump sum of money and she found a production company. And she started selling me on the pitch. And I was like, yes, I love that. But what do we do here? And now I'm into it. So now the next thing you know, I'm like, babe, we can really do this. So that Loper Love, that Loper Love is truly a baby and product of us, but it was birthed right here. It was birthed over the years of us talking about. My wife is the catalyst to make this thing happen, to make it drive. And, she always tell me, she's like, Joaquin, the Loper Love wouldn't be what it is without you having the vision. Yep, I get that. Once again, my wife pushes my fears. She takes my dreams and my stuff and she puts them in your face.
Mm-hmm. I always say you can have a vision, but what are you going to do?
Yep.
You can have the vision, we can receive the information, but information without implementation is simply information.
That's it.
There you go.
Let's do something with it.
Yep. Execution, right? Let's go.
Yeah.
What's funny is once I buy in.
Oh,
once I buy in, it's like, okay, now what are we doing here? No. I don't like that. That looks. She's like, oh, now you want to do this? Well, I'm gonna let you just handle it then. And I'm like, don't do that. Don't do that. I like what you do now.
And I'll say this, watching that first episode, I was able to see my family and your family, right? And
wow.
I think that's something that, again, you guys come off in the way that you come off. It really, I know it's impacted me, right? Just in terms of being able to say, oh, wow, here's somebody that's really doing it. I know you're going to impact a lot of other people. I know that you coming off real, and I know we've offered that advice to people, and I hope people take it because, that marketing message, right? And I've talked about this on BizDev Live before, but somebody needs your message, right? If you're out there and you're watching this, you have a service that you provide. The other day, my internet use this as an example, that there's a local place that has a co-working space where you can go and you can rent an office for the day. And I had a need for that. And if they had not marketed, if I did not know about this place, I just would have been, SOL, right? I wouldn't have a place to go. I just have to rough it and figure it out another way. And so when you market your services, when you let people know what you can do, what you provide, you really are helping people. And so often we get caught up in, well, I'm being commercial and I'm, being self-serving, and you don't know who you can serve unless you try and you put that message out there. So I really appreciate what you're doing. I know a lot of people are going to really benefit from what you're doing, and the production is outstanding. Great investment, Stacey.
Thank you.
I'm really excited to see what's going to come out of this. So I want to give you guys the opportunity to let people know where to go. Hopefully we get some people that are for the first time seeing you and hearing you and can go find you. So where would you like people to go and find you?
That's one more thing.
Yes, he wants to say one more thing.
Let me say one more thing. Please. Just for the audience listening, be committed and stay who you are. What do I mean? We've had a lot of offers that would take us outside of who we are, outside of what we are trying to portray. It's not for you, and it's okay to say no. I don't want to tank what we have built because of chasing money. If you stay consistent and true to who you are, man, it'll come. If money is there for it to happen, it'll come.
Yeah.
Stay true to who you are. Right? So
how to find us?
Hey, how you find us? Hey, you can find us on TikTok at
That Loper Lady.
You can also find us on IG at blended_and_winning. And of course, please go to YouTube and subscribe to our page today. Joaquin and Stacey Loper.
Yes.
You can also look up our website, www.blendedandwinning.com.
Yes. And we have all of our coaching opportunities on there as well.
Yes.
We have a few videos on there. So we have a lot of information on our website that you all can definitely go to learn more about us and to reach out to us if you have a need for it. And we do virtual counseling. So there's no need for us to be in the same city as you.
Right.
We do this online every day, all day.
Yeah. And for Cameron, if you don't know, my wife and I we just released our first book we wrote together on the 5th of January. It is titled The Appendix.
Yes.
And that's available on our website as well.
Yes.
It's available now for pre-order.
What's the book about? The Appendix. What's that about?
Well, the appendix. The appendix is my wife did a great job of explaining this to me and made me go look up the definition and everything. But the appendix is the story behind the story. A lot of time people think that their story has come to an end because of a divorce or death or some kind of loss. But really, there's another story behind that story, and it's up to you to write it.
And remember, the appendix at the end of a book is supplemental information.
Supplemental information.
It is supplemental information that we don't necessarily use for our lives. Okay, that information is there. Let's look at it from a different perspective. Let's go ahead and stop putting that book down on that coffee table because you feel like your story has ended.
Mm-hmm.
What's in your appendix? Can we look at that and let's see what else you have? It's about reset, restore, and renewing your life, your relationship, and your marriages. And we kind of walk you through what that looks like from an individual standpoint, from just being in a relationship with somebody, but also from a marriage standpoint as well.
And Cameron, after 18 years, it's about love. It's about being intentional.
Yeah.
I love my wife differently every day.
Every day,
and I'm intentional about that.
I love that. And I love what you guys have done from a media point of view. And I know that when you were jumping on to YouTube and Facebook for the first time and then jumping into the TikTok element, I don't know that you saw 4.2 million followers. If you did, that's amazing. but the idea that you're able to create your own channel and create your own lane, and I think that ability is in every entrepreneurial mindset. If you want to go out and create that channel and create a path for people to find your door, you have the ability to do that. And you're certainly pointing the way to that. Appreciate what you're doing. I appreciate that you're sharing the information in such an authentic way. Thank you so much for being on the show. Check out the book, check out the YouTube channel, check out the TikTok, check out the IG, go find Joaquin and Stacey Loper everywhere on social media. I promise you won't be disappointed. Joaquin and Stacey, say goodbye to everybody and then hang out for me. I'll talk to you after the show. I'm going to play the Biz Dev theme as we go out.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Have a great day.
You.
Look forward to seeing you.
Biz Dev Live, Biz Dev Live. Weekdays at 11 Eastern Time, live. Biz Dev Live, Biz Dev Live. Weekdays at 11 Eastern Time. Leadership and motivation, empathy and inspiration, Biz Dev Live, Biz Dev Live. Business development, not even selling it. Biz D with C, brought to you by Cameron T. Biz D with C, brought to you by Cameron T. This is business development, not even selling it. This is business development, not even selling it. Biz Dev Live, Biz Dev Live.